So, welcome and thank you, Elena, for giving us your time. Elena Chernin is one of Australia's most prominent and most prolific composers. She was born in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, emigrated to Australia in 1975. She has created works in nearly every genre. Among her many compositions are pieces for the Sydney and Melbourne Symphony Orchestras, the City of London Sinfonia, the Berlin Philharmonic, and the operas in Sydney, Berlin, Hanover, and Kassel, to name only a few. It is great to meet you, and thank you for giving us some time, Elena.
It is great to meet you, Josh, as well, and thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
What inspired you to turn to Jewish themes?
It's, I guess, it's really fun for me to write from where I come from. Where my heart is. I feel those themes. I have written a lot of music that may not have had the subject matter Jewish, but it had Jewish undertones. There are some intervals that I've used that people say, "Oh, that sounds Jewish." I'm not aware of it. It's, I guess, part of me, just as much as Russian flavor in my music as well. It's a kind of Jewish Russian flavor that's, I guess, embedded in me. And it's hard to say why. I was born Jewish, so I guess that's why. And it's just part of me. And I'm not consciously going for those themes, but if it happens, I'm welcoming them. In my childhood, what was encouraged was atheism that was taught at school, and religion was not at all encouraged or even allowed. So that was not at all part of my life. My parents were not religious. I was not religious. But in Russia, I was not brought up like that. Although my grandparents spoke Yiddish. And especially when they didn't want us to understand what they were saying, they spoke Yiddish. I remember that. I said, "What is that language?"
So let's go back to the piece. You chose Psalm 23, or Psalm 23 chose you, and you set the text in Hebrew. What's the relationship of the music to the text? How did it speak to you?
It was a kind of gift to my sister in a way for her choir. And so I said, yes, I will, if you help me with words, what they mean, how they pronounce, how you sing them. And if you also sit with me while I'm writing it. I actually quite like composing while somebody's right next to me. And I had few ideas before, and then we could sort of shift it and point it in the right direction when the new section came. So that's why it's kind of sectional. And there's always a switch at some point, and something goes slower, something goes faster, something is a bit more turbulent and more emotional, something less emotional. And my music is emotional.
Well, this setting certainly has a very strong pulsation to it, and a rather rapid tempo, and then goes into a faster tempo, and then back to the rapid tempo, which seems so different from most of the settings of Psalm 23 that we're familiar with, the most famous perhaps being Bernstein's setting in the second movement of his Chichester Psalms, a very slow and lyrical and pastoral setting. Yours is full of energy. Can you speak about that?
Well, I guess my music is energetic often. Sometimes people say, what do you want from your music that the audience takes away? And I always think uplifted. And that's one thing. And the other thing, I want people to be moved as well, and somehow the way to get there in some ways for me is through the pulse. I feel it's close to, it's your heartbeat, because it gives different meaning to the words as well. And I don't mind that. Maybe it's more hopeful, or maybe it's more anxious. I don't know. But whatever it is, I want to feel better afterwards.
Who are the main or influences on your style? Either who or what kind of music do you say has had a strong influence and one can hear?
Well, originally definitely Bach, Johann Sebastian.
Can't go
He
wrong
was a
with that.
huge, and every so often it just comes over me, and I write something in tribute to Bach. It just follows me around. My other composer who I love is Ravel. Um, so then, of course, I loved Rachmaninoff. I grew up with Rachmaninoff. I love Philip Glass, would you believe? And I think you can hear that in my music.
You know,
It isn't.
I hear a little bit of that in the opening of your Psalm 23.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, he's an incredible composer. So that's
Is there anything else you'd like to add to our
no, just
listeners?
well, I would just say that thank you so much for choosing my work, Psalm 23, for your choir. I know that it's incredibly complex to put this together in a virtual way, and in the times that we live now in, I really appreciate the effort and incredible work that you've already put into this work, and I'm grateful.